Howdy AGP students, this is Chris. During this lesson, we'll cover percentages and percent changes. Percentages are just variations of fractions that tell you how many or how much out of 100. Typically, percentage and percent change problems will be presented in the form of word problems. When dealing with these problems, you'll need to recognize a few key words or phrases. When the problem states is or is equal to, this is just another way of saying equals, so you'll have the equal sign. Anytime you see the percent sign, you simply use the decimal form of the percentage. If the problem uses the word of, this will key you into the fact that you should be multiplying. Now let's take a look at our first example. Our first example reads, what is 35% of 240? Here we see two of the key words, the percent sign and of. In this problem, we'll multiply 240 by the decimal form of 35%, which is 0.35. So first we're going to set up our problem in a proportion of is over of, so that's going to be, the unknown is going to be the is, because we have the of 240, is equal to the percent over 100. So we know that the percent is 35. So let's go ahead and plug that in, and we have x over 240 equals 35 over 100. Now, I know a lot of our strategies are to avoid algebra, but with these percent problems it makes it really easy if we set these problems up this way. So we'll go ahead and cross multiply and divide, and so we'll take 240 times 35 is equal to 100 times x. Alright, let's go ahead and pull up our calculator. So here we have 240 times 35, and that's going to equal 8,400 equals 100x. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we can divide 8,400 by 100, and that should give us 84, but we'll go ahead and check that on our calculator. So 8,400 divided by 100 equals 84. So in this case, 84 is 35% of 240. Let's move on to the next example. Example 2 states 44 is what percent of 224? Here, the keywords we see are is and of. This translates to 44 equals x percent times 224. And what we're going to do, we're going to set this problem up just like before with the proportion of is over of equals percent over 100. So in this problem we're given 44 is what percent of 224. So we're going to be looking for the percentage. So we can set this up. 44 is the is, 224 is the of, and then x is going to be the percentage. So here we can cross multiply and divide, and so we have 44 times 100 equals 224 times x. And what we'll do, we'll go ahead and pull up our calculator, work this out real quick. 44 times 100 equals 4,400, and now we can divide that by 224. And that equals 19.6428. And so what we'll do, we'll actually round that to 19.6%. Remember, you want to include that percent because it's asking what percent, and the x is in the percent box. Now let's move on to example 3. This is going to be an increase or decrease in percentage. In this case, it's going to be asking what is the percentage increase. So let's go ahead and take a look at this problem. Last year, Sharon earned $8 per hour at the grocery store. This year, she earns $9.60 per hour at the video store. What is the percentage increase in her hourly pay? Here, we're given an initial hourly pay rate and a second hourly pay rate when she changed jobs. The question asks what the percentage increase was from year to year. So first we have to actually find what the difference was between the wages between the 2 years. To do this, we simply subtract the second year from the initial year. So $9.60 minus $8. So that's going to give us 9.60 minus 8 equals $1.60. So by changing jobs, she earned $1.60 more per hour. Now we need to find what the percentage increase in her hourly pay was. To set this up, we'll use this simple equation that says percent change equals the change, that $1.60, over the starting or the initial wage, which was $8, and then we multiply that by 100. So we'll go ahead and plug that in. So we have $1.60, which we calculated was the wage difference, divided by the initial wage of $8, and then we multiply that by 100. So let's go ahead and head over to our calculator and divide this $1.60 by $8. That's going to equal 0.2, and then we're going to multiply that times 100, and that's going to give us 20%. And so here you can see 0.2 times 100 is 20%. Our next problem is going to look at a double percentage change. Here, this problem reads, a bicycle originally cost $200. The price decreased by 30%, but then the price was increased by 40%. Compared to the original price, the final price was A, $4 more, B, $4 less, C, $10 more, D, $20 more, or E, $20 less. Let's recap the information that's given in this problem. Here we have the initial price, then was reduced by 30%, and then the price was increased by 40%. But that's not really what the problem's asking. It wants you to compare the original price to the final price. So we're going to have to calculate a couple of things and then compare the resulting answer to the original price. First, we calculate the price reduction. We'll be setting this up just like before with the is over of equal to percent over 100. But first we need to find what that percent is. And we'll find that by thinking about this problem. So the price decreased by 30%. So what we need to do is subtract 30% from 100% to find what that percentage that we're going to plug in is, which is 70. And we'll go ahead and do this real quick. 100 minus 30, and that equals 70%. So we know that we're going to be plugging in 70 into the percentage spot. So what we'll be looking for is the is in this setup, because we know that the original price was 200, or the of, but we're trying to find what is 70% of that 200. So we plug in our values and we get x over 200 equals 70 over 100. Now we cross multiply and divide, and we'll go ahead and do that with our calculator. We'll have 200 times 70, and that equals 14,000, equals 100 times x. Now we'll go ahead and divide by 100, and that'll give us the new price after the discount of 30% is taken of $140. So after the price initially decreased, the new price was $140. We now need to increase this value by 40%. So we're going to set the problem up just like before with the is over of equals percent over 100. And in this case we know the percent and we know the of, which is $140. So we're going to be looking for the is. So we set this up, x over $140 equals 140 over 100. Now you may ask how I got 140, and that's just because we're increasing the price by 40%, so we need to add that to the cost of 100%, so we get 140%. So we cross multiply and divide here. We have $140 times 140 equals 100x. So let's go ahead and work that out, and we get 140 times 140, and that equals 19,600. Now we want to divide that by 100, and and that'll give us our new price of $196. So after the bike was increased by 40%, the new price would be $196. Now we can answer what the question is actually asking. And it says compared to the original price, the final price was, and it gave us a list of changing, $4 less, $4 more, and so on. So now we need to compare the original price to the final price. Since the original price was $200 and the new price is $196, we just subtract $200 from $196. So let's go ahead and do that. $200 minus $196, and that's going to give us $4. So now this new price, after the 2% changes, is $4 less than the original price. So we can look at the question, and answer choice B was $4 less, and that's the correct answer. The price went from $200 originally to $196 after the double percentage change. Our last example is an algebraic percentage problem. Here, we're given a pie chart, and the question states, the circle graph above shows how David's monthly expenses are divided. If David spends $450 per month for food, how much does he spend per month on his car? And so if we look at this chart, we can see that there's percentages, and we're given a value that he spends on one of those percentages. So this is going to be a little tougher problem, but I want you to take a little bit of time here and try to figure this problem out. We will discuss it in class, but do give it a try now.